In this video, we are going to be studying about the basics of Form School Feng Shui. Form School Feng Shui is the oldest school of Feng Shui, which is based on looking at land formations and determining which are the best places for settlement, as well as which are the best ways to orient a building. In this graphic that you see right now, this slide which says attracting beneficial qi to a site, the basics of Form School Feng Shui. Here on the right hand side, this is the bird's eye view, this is the front view, and this is a side view of this arrangement. So in traditional Feng Shui, we talk about there being 4 celestial animals. Now, in some sources, they'll talk about a 5th celestial animal called the water snake, which would come to represent the body of water that you see here. But what are the elements of a good Feng Shui site? What are the celestial animals? Here, this is a page that you're seeing here. It's a page of my website. And here I have some information about the celestial animals that you can check out on your own later on. I had made these models for Feng Shui so that I could explain Feng Shui for my children, and I also have a series of videos called Feng Shui for Children, which are part of this course. So basically, the celestial animals are 4: the black turtle of the north, the green dragon of the east, the white tiger of the west, and the red phoenix of the south. These are toys, as you can see, that I had used to represent these animals, and I had used a little birdhouse, which I had painted, and a piece and a green blanket to indicate the land. So basically, I'm going to show it to you here on this picture. The ideal Feng Shui site has a round looking mountain or hill at the back of the house, but at a good distance from the house. This is in this picture that I had done, the proportions are not correct, but it's just to give you an idea of what the elements are. So this hill, or mountain that is sort of rounded, would be at the north of the property, and the reason for that is that in China the cold winds come from the north. So in order to protect a settlement or a farmhouse or any kind of building or temple from the cold winds of the north, it was considered very recommendable to have a hill or a mountain at the back to protect from the winds. Now, in traditional Feng Shui, the preferred orientation of the front door is the south. It could also be southeast and southwest, and if you can't have this, the east or the west. The direction that is to be avoided in Feng Shui is the north side, and this is only true in the northern hemisphere because when you are in the northern hemisphere, the sun comes from the south. It rises in the southeast and then it sets in the southwest. But it doesn't go right directly over in a sort of a vertical way. That only happens on the equator. In the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, there's always going to be an angle by which the sun is hitting a property. And so the preferred orientation is to have the front door facing the south so that in every season you can have sunshine, warmth, and dryness by the main door, which are qualities that promote human health. So it was also recommended to have hills on the sides. It was desired to have hills that have more of an undulating shape, sort of like the dragon, on the right-hand side of the property to protect from the winds, as well as also hills on the left side of the property. They are both protected from the winds. This is called the tiger. You can see the tiger over here. And this is called the dragon hill range. Now, the dragon is a little bit more undulating and the tiger is a little bit more wavy. like a crouching tiger. Remember that movie Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon? The dragon and the tiger are symbols that are repeated over and over in traditional Chinese wisdom. And you can see it from the martial arts to Feng Shui and medicine. So because the sun rises in the east, a little bit higher hills on this side would provide in the summer with a little bit more time to work in agriculture, to work in the farms in the early morning. So because if you didn't have this hill range, in addition to being more exposed to the winds, you would have sunshine directly at 6 in the morning or at whichever time, sometimes earlier, depending on the season. You would have the sunshine rising and then heating up the land. But if you have some hills on this side, that gives you a few more hours of shade, and that means cooler temperatures during the morning. So the higher hills on the right hand side of the property, when you're facing the property, had that as a purpose. And the lower hills on the west side, it has to do with the season of winter, because as the sun sets on the west, you want a little bit lower hills. That you still want hills to protect you from the winds, but you want them to be a little bit lower, so you have a little bit more sunshine hitting the house in the winter, so that you get to benefit from the sunshine and the heat that comes from the sun, heating up the house even in the winter. And so here I had made these arrangements. On the first photograph, you can see that I have these toys here to show you, the turtle, the dragon, the tiger, and the phoenix. So the house needed to face the south and be facing a body of water. And this body of water could be the ocean, but it is not the ocean if it's a river, a stream, or a lake. At the other side of this body of water, you would want a low valley or very low hills, as represented by the shapes of a phoenix, or you could think about maybe an eagle on a falcon with their wings spread and gliding in the air, and that would be the shape of the valleys that you would want in front of that property across from the body of water. So here you can see the animals. In the next picture you can see the same animals, but they're covered by the blanket in green to indicate what the shape of the landscape might look like. And of course, you cannot forget that this is a tiger and that this is a dragon. So as you will see in the next videos, when you explore the Feng Shui for Children series and the good location in the country, the good Feng Shui location in the city, you will see that it is not a good idea to be settled near the mouth of the tiger or the breath of the dragon. Now, this is in the country. Of course, this is the formation in the country. You will notice that this formation is sort of like an armchair. That's the back of the chair, the arm of the chair, the seat of the chair, and this would be the footstool in front of the chair. And so in the city, you would want to reproduce the same elements, only instead of the water, you would have a street or a road. Instead of the hill or mountain in the back, you would look for a building that is taller, bigger than your own building. You would look for buildings on the sides that are slightly taller than your own. And across the street, you would want to have a building that is lower or the same size as your own. And this is another view of that. So basically, you're still seeking this armchair protection for the house, for your property, and something that is not higher, that is not taller than you across the street. This will be explained in greater detail in the series of videos of Feng Shui for Children having to do with form school. The celestial animals that are usually recognized in Feng Shui are the black turtle of the north, the green dragon of the east, the white tiger of the west, and the red phoenix of the south. Now, in some, as I had said before, in some sources, you also find the snake, which represents the body of water in front of the property, referred to as a celestial animal, but that is not seen in all the sources. The black turtle of the north is located at the back of the property. It represents the protection at the back of the property. The green dragon of the east represents a low range of hills offering side protection from the winds on the east side. The white tiger of the west also represents a low embracing range of hills offering side protection from the winds, but it is slightly lower than the dragon range of hills. The red phoenix of the south represents low lands or very low hills on the other side of the water. Here you can see the celestial animals in the form school arrangement. At the north, the black turtle of the north. On the east side, the green dragon of the east. On the west side, the white tiger of the west. The property facing south, across from the body of water, you have the red phoenix of the south. And as I had mentioned before, the water in front of the property sometimes is referred to as the water snake. There is a desire to have a flat plot of land in between these hills and mountain ranges with plenty of space on the sides, on the back, and on the front. Close enough to the water that it wouldn't be trouble to go get some water, but not so close that you could be at risk of floods. So, if you think about it, its form school is just based on common sense. If you live in the northern hemisphere, it is a really good idea to face the south or a direction related to the south, like southeast or southwest, or east or west, because that way you get sunshine every day during every season on your front door. That makes for a healthier entrance. It is not recommended to have a north door because that would be a yin entrance, which would be dark, cold, and humid. Now this is inverted for the southern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, you actually want to have a northern entrance instead of a southern entrance. So as I'll show you in a little bit, this chart gets inverted for the southern hemisphere. Here you can see in this graphic, you have the equator in the center, and then you have the northern hemisphere, and then there's the North Pole. Of course, this is a schematic chart, right? And at the south, you have the South Pole at the bottom. So if you are in the northern hemisphere, the celestial animals apply exactly as they were taught in Form School Feng Shui. But if you are in the southern hemisphere, you have to turn that around. You have to do the mirror image. You have to invert it, where everything is still the same, only that the turtle, instead of being at the north, has to be at the south, and the red phoenix, instead of being at the south, is now at the north. And this is all because the sun hits vertically only in the equator. In any other place, it comes at a slant. And so if the sun is going this way, places in the northern hemisphere get more sunshine on the south wall, and places in the southern hemisphere get more sunshine on the north wall. So here you see a summary of all the elements of a good feng shui site. Number 1 shows you the protection at the back provided by the turtle, mountain, or hill range. 2A shows you the protection offered by the green dragon hill range, which is a little bit higher than 2B, which is the tiger, the crouching tiger hill range on the west for the northern hemisphere. You want to have a flat plot of land in between these features with enough distance around it. Facing the water is considered to be the most auspicious feng shui location, and to have something lower at the other side of the water, like in this case number 5 would be showing the phoenix, the red phoenix, land formations, which are low valleys or very low hills. This prevents, so in this case, if we are looking here, this graphic is showing you the side view. So it's like if we had made a cut here and we're looking in this direction to this layout. So here we have the turtle hill or mountain. Here you see 2B, the white tiger, crouching tiger range of hills. An open space for tea gathering, often called the Ming tank, in front of the property. And then you have the body of water and the red phoenix on the other side. Now, in the northern hemisphere, the sun would be hitting from the south, which for the purpose of this graphic would be over here. So you see the entrance to this building would have plenty of sunshine, whereas the north wall over here would mostly be in the shade, and especially in the winter it would be in the shade. And so this area at the back is yin as opposed to this area at the front, which is yang. And you always want to have a yang entrance, which is the sunny side of the hill, literally, as opposed to having a yin entrance, which means the shady side of the hill. This makes a happier, healthier home. So these are the basics of form school feng shui. This basic arrangement, it applies to the selection of a site in the country, the selection of a site in the city. It also determines the arrangement of a master bedroom. It determines the arrangement of an office, and even the design of an entrance door. Most of the information on how to do this will be provided in this introductory course. For all of the information on the applications of this basic feng shui arrangement, often called the armchair formation, is going to be taught in depth in the feng shui certification course.